SaaSpreneurs. It's JB, and you're tuned in to the podcast that's all about taking your high level game to new heights. Each week, I bring in top industry experts who dive deep into the strategies that drive success specifically for high level users. Whether it's getting more customers, leveling up your knowledge, or supercharging your high level with new strategies that you get to get covered. That being said, today I'm joined by Dr. Ada Rivera Cruz, the founder of Alo Medical Aesthetics and Wellness. And recently, Dr. Rivera Cruz has been on the journey and calling of helping other practitioners to evolve their practice with her software as a service offering. And that platform is called Doc to Doc Tech Solutions. And her goal is to help practitioners to be comfortable and confident with the process of marketing. So Dr. Ada Rivera Cruz and myself put together an episode that we hope will inspire you serving the medical industry. But more importantly, if you are a practitioner of any kind, this should inspire you as well. So let's get to the episode here. It is being in full control of your medical practice with software and education. And the 3 bullet points we're going to go over today is the learning curve from practice owner to business owner to a blend of both. The second talking point is turning patient interest into conversations in today's preferred way. And then the third is bringing everything together to take full control of the know, like, and trust process for your patients to feel comfortable and confident with you and the service you offer in your community. Dr. Ada Rivera Cruz, welcome. It is finally awesome to have you here.
Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure for connecting with you and with our audience, and I hope they enjoy our session and get a lot from it and start their journey as well.
Absolutely, doctor. So, I became aware of you and you became aware of me when we started running our first 5-day AI challenge.
True.
And this was
it's
a challenge.
Been a little while already.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
That was like in April, late April, early May. Flew by.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. Flew by. And since then, you've been in our Facebook group. You've been in our different workshops. You've really, really gone all in on being the student in addition to what you do during the day to serve your patients. Could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration or this extra energy and interest you have doing both?
So I have to say, I started working with a group, an agency in the past, and that's how I came across HighLevel. I learned a lot about that. I mean, I've been working in general for, I would say, roughly 3 years now. And I started learning, and I'm pretty tech inclined. I can speak to the days that when I was younger, my brother would fix things around the house. He's now an airplane mechanic. And then he instilled all those things to me as far as being tech inclined. So I learned a lot from him and kind of have my own endeavors as well. And I started obviously learning the platform, and that helped streamline my practice and improve workflows, improve a lot of the day-to-day with my staff, and lifted a big burden for them and for myself as well as a business owner, which is something that we'll dive into very likely. Being a practice owner / business owner, learning all this ins and outs is something we don't learn in medical school. And that's pretty much where I've been. I'm very passionate about putting that out there and helping other colleagues with the big possibilities that are out there for us to be independent and at the same time in control of our own day-to-day and our serving what's important, our patients at the end of the day.
Yeah. And, it's a calling in all directions. It's an honor. It's a privilege. It's a serious responsibility, right? What you do during the day with your patients, whether it's advice, the actual, doing what you do. How do you, for someone that's tuning in, that's trying to put this together, like, how does this doctor find time to run her practice as an owner, and then do the marketing and manage things with an agency or partly herself, however she does it, and then venture off into also wanting to help other practitioners. Like, not it won't click for everybody. Could you just unpeel that a little bit so we understand where this superpower comes from?
Yeah, I have to say it's been a blessing at the same time, and it's time management is a matter of having perseverance and kind of organizing yourself and having things done little by little, a little bit at a time. It's not gonna be able to be done one day everything together because of all the other responsibilities you may have as a practitioner with your patients. We all have families too. So setting some time aside and religiously kind of taking that into consideration and spreading the time an hour maybe here and there, and then you next day you pick up where you left off. And going back to our training in medical school, we had to be perseverant on what we wanted, what we were trying to accomplish, and where we wanted to go and be at the end of the day to get through with it. So it's a very similar mindset that I would probably say, and that I know that all my colleagues can relate to, because we've all gone through it. And I mean, countless hours, no sleep, 24 hours a day plus. So we all know what we had to go through. And hopefully these little things and these little time slots that we set aside, at least in my case, to accomplish what I've accomplished so far, has helped me to actually, in the end of the day, free up my time for family, for and enjoying the things that all of us like to enjoy, and kind of be a little bit more free in that sense.
Yeah. So, to help the audience understand a little bit more about what you just mentioned with how, right? Like, we talk about more time in our day. We talk about time management. We talk about, just being in the moment outside of career or other responsibilities.
Right.
How do you go about that time management and like actually taking the action? Is there a something that you've learned or you've built up over time that you like, this has always worked for me. If I write it here or I do this type of reminder, this typically gets me where I left off last to where I got to go next.
Yeah, I pretty much have a little bit of a systems developed for that. As far as note taking, that's kind of helped me all throughout. Um, Everybody is different. Everybody's learning curve is a little bit different, and how they go about their days. Some people are on the fly, some people are big planners, they have Excel sheets. I'm more on the spectrum of on the fly, not more of a big planner, but at the same time, it's a way that has worked for me. But note taking is one thing that has been paramount for me. And with nowadays technology, there's a multitude of apps that work for everybody that you can incorporate it on your daily. And obviously with everything that's available, like Excel and Google Docs or WordPress and anything along those lines, at least it's very simple, at least for me. It's just
Yeah.
note taking and doing a to-do list and kind of following up with that what to-do list, picking up the next day where I left off, and then in small steps I've gotten things done.
If I'm understanding it right, it's like just nurturing your thought for that moment and freezing that thought. So when you look at it again, or you process it again, it brings you back to where that feeling you had when you thought about it initially,
Right, pretty
right?
much.
So, and I think, like you had said, everyone has their own system, whether it's
Yes.
voice, written, typing, whatever it is. For new practitioners that are coming out of their training or their multiple years of supervision and support, and they're getting ready
Right.
to open up their own practice, right?
Right.
It's obviously changed over the years dramatically in
Yes.
different ways. For someone that's like right now ready to get where you're at now or want to be close to on their own, what
Hmm.
are some things they should be aware of that maybe they didn't go over in medical school the last half a decade, if not more?
I mean, there's a lot. It's a loaded question,
It
actually.
is, and that's exactly why I did it because I want to just thin slice it a little bit because if it
Yes.
was easy, if it was an easy one, two, three, well then everybody would be doing what you and your colleagues do. But let's just say, let's to thin slice it a little bit. Somebody that is looking to open up their small practice, And they're savvy with marketing, but they're savvy with like just regular marketing. They don't understand the value of systems yet and processes and like having that assembly line of tasks. What advice could you give them, or what wisdom could you give them to be aware of it?
So definitely, as far as that goes, there's a lot of things that we have in our toolbox, and that's one of the things that actually moved me through getting this next journey together and started. Obviously, is because I know that with the systems that we can put in place, like automations, having presence in online, like a website, for example, communicating with our patients in a timely manner that boosts your customer service. And I'm using terms here: customer service, your patient service. It's parallels. There's parallels in there. So taking that into consideration, that's one of the things that there's multiple ways, and the solutions that we're offering at this point are quite helpful with that, because you can have conversation starters. If you have a website in place, for example, you can have conversation starters. When someone comes to your website, they get to know you, they start trusting you, and they want to talk to you and ask you a question. Hey doc, do you accept this kind of insurance? Hey doc, do you offer this kind of service, this kind of treatment? It may be 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Your office is done for the day. So there's ways that nowadays, with the technology that we have in our hands, you can connect with that patient and you can get them taken care of and answer all the questions right then and there, and make the promise to connect with one of your staff members the next day. And that'll build that rapport, that trust that that patient is looking out for from their provider, from their practitioner, from their doctor. In the past, in small towns, I grew up in a small town. People will see each other in places, and that's how things were done. Nowadays, fast forward X amount of years, don't want to, show our ages here, but fast forward a few years, and then this is kind of the word of mouth of nowadays. People going online and finding out about X or Y through Google, and then they will pick up their cell phone, not their phone as in the past, and calling, or in this case, having that opportunity to connect with you by a website. And then you can leverage AI at the same time, and having an AI assistant of sorts to actually connect with that patient, and you will not miss that chance of providing for them to
Yeah.
their
I
needs.
remember growing up, when I was super sick or there was something that needed to be cared for, my parents had the doctor's phone number because the doctor was a family practitioner, right? Was with them since I was a baby, and there was a relationship. And then the
Right.
bedside manner was totally different. Like it was sitting next to you and talking to you.
Yeah.
There wasn't at that time. There wasn't like this urgent care. There wasn't this fast in and out. It was
Mm-hmm.
every appointment was not like an appointment on the dot. It was an appointment that you wait a good amount of time, but you get treated as well for a good amount of time. And I think that, over the decades, this has all changed. And even, patients today are expecting things, they're forcing change upon how people, physicians and offices communicate back and forth with them. They're expecting
Yes.
text. They're expecting information on the website. They're expecting extended hours. They're
Right.
expecting a media callback. There's a
Yes.
big demand on physicians today.
It's a big demand, and it can take a toll on you. And at the same time, again, going back into the concept of it being a business, you're trying to provide for your patients, but at the same time, you're in my case, I have an entrepreneurial spirit in a way. So I mean, you're trying to provide for everybody. Let's put it that way. And then you have to come into a point of serving that purpose, obviously, and connecting with your potential patients in a timely manner. And that's where technology would come in and help on that process.
Yeah, so let's
And
get right to it. I mean,
yeah,
technology, practitioners, physicians, doctors, dentists, chiropractors, doesn't matter what it is. If you're serving a patient, there is a new demand of how they want to engage with you directly or your office during or
or
after
after
business hours or
hours.
even
Yeah.
before. I mean, just 24/7. What's that
24/7,
process look like?
360.
Right?
Yeah.
That-
So in
So with
our
that being
case,
said, yep, and
yes.
with that being said, like where do you set the where does a physician set the boundary and then where do they perfect or where could they start to perfect that process? Because there's a huge learning curve with this on
Yes.
demand that's expected.
Yeah, that's part of the whole learning process. Let's start there with the learning curve. Obviously, once you dedicate that time that I was alluding to earlier, and you can pretty much hand that off and teach your staff or have support to teach your staff, and then they can take over where everything's left off. Things can be set up in place, systems be set up in place, and that's where we would come in as far as providing that solutions, because we have those systems that can be set up in place to actually, to give you an example, going back to the website that we talked about. You have a website, you showcase what your services or what your treatments are on your private practice, your dental practice, chiropractor, etc., as we talked about. And you have someone that comes in after hours and ask a question. We can set it up in a way that you have the perfect assistant, like an AI assistant that can communicate with that potential patient, and even set it all up so that they can book an appointment with you. And it's 10 in the evening, for example, and you're either getting ready to go to bed or at bed already, but there's an appointment being booked for your practice. And then your staff can pick up where that AI appointment setter left off and continue that rapport with that potential patient that it's very well now your future patient. And that's the new age of how the patients can communicate and want to communicate nowadays. It's, as you alluded to, John, it's all about timeliness, SMS, text messaging, even social media. It's another way that patients communicate with their providers nowadays. And then they see you on social media, they start to know you, they going into segueing to the knowing, like you, and trusting you. And then they see you, they feel like there's more connection there, and then they're more enticed to become part of your ecosystem of sorts.
I feel like the loyalty today it's all around what patients are potentially aware of about you, about your practice,
Mm-hmm.
your reputation, whether it's reviews, whether it's giving back to the community. Maybe they see you on a billboard or they see you at a street fair or a wellness fair. It's that connection, or just
Yes.
the name across your shirt or the back of your shirt that it's brand recognition. And I think people will go to another practice or consider another practitioner because of the perceived indifference that, well, they're not going to be connected to me. I want someone that if I have an emergency,
Mm-hmm.
it's either close proximity or I know they're going to be available for me.
Exactly. It's that availability part. It's the attention span of us nowadays, and I include myself. It's very, very short, and that's one thing that we have to at some point adapt as providers, as practitioners, on how things are moving in such a way. And that's where technology comes in, as far as giving us that vantage point to service our patients.
But more importantly, to the privately owned practice more than anyone.
Yeah,
That privately
definitely.
owned practice is essentially, yes, physicians, practitioners, doctors, they're serving the public. But there is a competitive, right? There is market share that's shared within these radiuses of where their office is at. I mean, it could be you as a private practitioner, and then 3 blocks down or 3 miles down, a whole practitioner group owned by
Mm-hmm.
maybe a hospital network or a
Right.
partnership network. So, those partnership networks, those hospital networks, they have systems and services.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that important that a practitioner that maybe is not excited about marketing or doesn't believe they need it should change that mindset a bit?
I mean, the reason for that is just to relieve your staff. One of them. It's one of the big things that a lot of practitioners, and me being a practice owner myself, we have that heavy burden in our backs and hearts, is that our staff is overwhelmed at times. And having these systems in place is one big lift off their shoulders so that they can serve even better to your patients. And it all goes hand in hand. If your staff is burdened and burned out, it will not reflect pretty well, and that can take a toll on your patients' services. And then that can take a toll on you, on your practice, and on your reputation as a practice as well. So it all goes hand in hand as far as that goes. That's one of the things also.
I've never thought of it like that. You know, and maybe this is because I've been a marketer at heart. I've been, sales and marketing is to get new patients, attract new patients, help them know we're here. You totally gave me this approach where, it's not really about the general public. It's about the people that are serving the general public that's
It's
reaching out, your
exactly,
staff.
exactly. It goes all tied in together because you're trying to serve your patients, but at the same time, when you're a practice owner, you have your staff and you have to take care of them too. And that's part of all where it's tied in, you know. They're important too, and they're your left hand and your right hand. That's
Mm.
something that a lot of us, at least that's what's in my heart.
Yes. No, and
In all
again,
honesty.
everyone has, not everybody may look at things exactly the same way, but that's why these types of
Hmm.
conversations is a way of giving back, right, to your
Right.
peers. It's telling, it's sharing, it's putting it out there. And that's how you learn stuff too, as you do your research. So, as we get into, artificial intelligence, AI, you mentioned it before, chat conversations, social media, websites, email campaigns, all these different moving parts. Could you share in a day in the life in your shoes, how do you go about using your app or your web or your portal to like just in between an appointment? Like, what do you look for now that you didn't before? Like, what helps you? Like, what's your like quick snippet look like?
So pretty much the main daily thing that was not all too considered before, it's conversations, honestly. When I have my platform and I use it to converse with my patients, that's the main spot where everything resides on a daily basis, pretty much. And then there's definitely some systems that are in place on the back end, as I like to call it, and that's working on its own. But for the most part, it's mainly the conversations and obviously the socials. That's something that's also quite paramount in our day to day, as far as connecting with the patients that are interacting on social, and at the same time trying to connect with them. And that's all done through our platform.
Yeah. And for someone that's not familiar with what HighLevel exactly does, what Dr. Rivera Cruz is referring to is like if somebody sends a message on Facebook or Google or through text message or through the website, it's going in one area where she looks at it through her phone. But more importantly, Doc, now with like reviews is the new word of mouth.
Oh, yes.
How are you going about staying relevant, and how do you go about kind of getting the heartbeat of how things are going through reviews in your practice? Or and how do you help others realize that? Like some people run away from it and others are like, well, we have good reviews and we have only five and we're okay with that. Like what's there again, it's just the
Yeah.
knowledge, the experience, the personal opinion. It's so much with
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
yeah.
a lot, but I mean the main takeaway with reviews is, as you point out, John, it's actually the new word of mouth. And if someone sees a person with, or a business or a practice with 5, 7 reviews, and then see another one with 100 or 150, definitely, as you would with any other thing that you're looking for to get a service from, they would go with the one with the more reviews. And that's true for all of us, honestly,
Yeah,
and I include myself.
me too.
Pretty much as far as that goes with reviews, there's different ways that we tackle it. We have QR codes that we have in our office set up so that whenever we see a patient that's quite happy about their services, then we can collect that. We have a system in place through the platform that we can actually collect reviews automatically, depending on if the patient has already gotten a service, and then that goes out automatically. And then at the same time, there's also the actual going into the platform and sending a review request. So there's multiple ways that you can tackle this. And obviously someone can go on Google. If you're visible on Google, that's something else. That's more of the organic, not too intentional way that we can do it, like generated from our end, but then they go organically and put a review on your Google profile. So there's multiple ways, but a lot of the ways, the ones that are intended on our end, are generally automated.
Yeah, it's something where it could be very overwhelming, just that component alone. And the fear
Yes.
of the potential of what could be said is also, and I think this ties back to if I'm receiving it well, if you take care of your staff, they will be the best representation of you as the practitioner physician. And then when these services and these processes go out, whether it's asking for reviews, filling out surveys, you should get a fair representation of that experience through that setup. You don't have to worry about or pick and choose who. Not
We
everything will
would
be
send the
perfect.
review, right? Not everything will be perfect. We're humans
We're
too.
humans.
That's
So I think, like
that's
to your point, like just do
yes,
what's right, make it easy for someone to share, and good will come as
true,
intended.
true. And it'll go ties. It all goes tied hand in hand, as what I was alluding to earlier. You take care of your own, and then it will take care of itself.
So like right now we're at the part in this segment here that whether it's a co high level user watching this that maybe serves medical spas, practitioners of dental, chiropractor, therapists, whatever it is, they've received some nuggets, some perspective from a doctor on how to maybe better serve their client who may be a doctor. And that's a great intent. That's what we're looking for, just to
Mhm.
share that value. But let's say we have a practitioner, doctor, chiropractor, dentist that's tuning in right now. And they're like, all right, this all sounds great, sounds complicated, but I'll be open-minded to it. Could you share a little bit from your professional experience and wisdom? Why is it important to take action on taking control of this now than waiting for the quote unquote right time?
Yeah, the real reason to do it is just not to miss on opportunities, essentially. And at the same time, striving for growth, one, and second, striving for efficiency. And that's something that with what we can offer as far as that goes, it'll go all connected to, at the end of the day, be of service and grow.
Important. I think that's the biggest part of it is is that aha moment that this is a necessity because of the output and the impact it has on everything.
Yes. And at the same time, you cannot be stuck on old ways. And as I mentioned before, we have to adapt to the times and how the way technology is flying. I mean, in a month or two ago, versions of technology that were available, like for example AI that we had touch base on, it may be very well in a month or two it's just another update, and that's the same true for phones, for computers, for everything. So at the same time, that's how everything is changing around us, and if we don't adapt, we're gonna get stuck on old ways, and those old ways may not be working at that point in time, and now you have to get into the new things that are working, and then you'll be connecting better and covering all your bases, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. 'Cause, I mean, the phones are coming out every quarter now. I mean, there's a new
Yeah.
phone, there's new
I mean, it's
software
not even,
updates.
it was a year before, to what I recall. It was like every year there was a new phone. iPhone were bringing up a new phone, or Google, which is a new player in the game, and also Android. But nowadays, every quarter, as you point out, there's new technology coming in, new technology emerging, and that's kind of the wave that we all have to hop on so we can surf that wave and actually get to the promised land.
The on demand. I
Yeah,
want it now. I wanted it yesterday, or I'm going to go somewhere else and get it. Doctor, I appreciate you unpacking this with me. And
for sure.
these episodes, we really never truly know the impact they have unless people share. So we would like to always remind people is that if you received a nugget here, go ahead and comment whether it's on Facebook or it's on YouTube. Um, Go ahead and share. Feel free to reach out to Dr. Rivera Cruz. She's going to put some information in the description on how you can get in touch with her. If you haven't experienced one of our challenges, our 5-day AI challenge, our 5-day review challenge, we've had the honor to have Dr. Rivera Cruz in both of those challenges while she's running her practice, while she's helping others. I mean, it's pretty neat. So, I mean, the opportunities are in your control. Doc, if you could close us out with just a statement, something that you live by, something that just kind of keeps you going.
Pretty much, we have to take action. That's pretty much, we cannot be stagnant or still. We have to take action. Sometimes the moment calls for still. I have to be upfront about that based on my beliefs. Sometimes it's just wait and be at peace. But in general, in this realm of things, you have to take action as far as if you that have that need to be filled, and so you can serve your patients better, you have to adapt to the times and take action and start learning and just dive into it right away. And then you'll be better served, and you're going to be taking more control of what you're trying to accomplish in your practice and in your life.
Well, you heard it directly from Dr. Ada Rivera Cruz, from practitioner to now a pioneer in her industry, helping other practitioners step out of their comfort zone, to serving patients in her community with the services that her office offers. The power of technology. We're honored to have you as a client of HighLevel. We're honored for you to be a student and learning all the time. If you're new to our community, folks like Dr. Rivera Cruz are here. Go ahead and comment below if you have any questions, but also jump into a trial and experience what she's experienced. But most importantly, be the student and tune into our other episodes. We got more of these coming at you. Dr. Cruz, whew, this was fun.
It
Thank you for
was.
spending some time with me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you for having me, John, and it's been a pleasure. And I hope it was of great help for all those colleagues out there that they're getting into this wave of technology, and hopefully they'll join us.
Amen. Take care, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.